Captain Daniel Wright stared at the message on the screen. His hand shook slightly as he read it again. After all these years of careful planning, something had gone very wrong. Or perhaps very right, depending on how you looked at it. The message was an intercepted communication from the Galactic Council, the ruling body of the known universe. For decades, humanity had been secretly expanding into space, building hidden colonies and keeping Earth shielded from alien detection. They had good reason to be careful. History books were full of stories about what happened when technologically advanced civilizations met less developed ones. Humans had decided long ago they would not risk becoming another conquered species. But now, someone had noticed them, just not in the way anyone expected. "Have you confirmed this is real?" Daniel asked, looking up at his communications officer. "Yes, sir. Triple verified," said Lieutenant Amy Rogers. "It was sent to all major species in the Council network." Daniel read the message again. "After thorough investigation of the planet designated Earth in Sector 3721, we confirm it contains only primitive, non-sentient life forms. The bipedal species known as humans appears to be a persistent spacer, legend with no basis in reality. All reports of human sightings should be treated as misidentifications or deliberate hoaxes. The Council had investigated Earth and somehow missed 5 billion humans. Not only that, they had declared humanity a myth, creatures that didn't even exist. "Get me Admiral Collins," Daniel said. "She needs to see this immediately." 20 minutes later, Daniel stood in the main conference room of the EDF Defender, Earth's largest and most advanced spaceship. The room was filling with the highest-ranking officers in Earth's defense fleet. Admiral Samantha Collins entered last, her face serious as she took her place at the head of the table. "I assume you've all read the Council's announcement," she said. The officers nodded. "Then you understand both the opportunity and the danger this presents. Captain Wright, since your team intercepted the message, please start." Daniel stood up. "The Galactic Council, which governs over 300 alien species, has officially declared that humans do not exist. Their survey team somehow missed all signs of advanced civilization on Earth. Our stealth technology worked better than we ever expected." "Or they're lying," said Commander Frank Ellis. "This could be a trap." "We considered that," Daniel replied. "But our deep cover agents in Council space confirm this is their genuine conclusion. They really believe Earth is uninhabited." Admiral Collins tapped her fingers on the table. "The question is, what do we do with this information? For 50 years, we've hidden from the galaxy because we weren't ready to compete with species thousands of years more advanced than us. We needed time to develop our technology, to prepare. This mistake gives us more time. But it also presents a new option," said General Patricia Miller from Earth Central Command, joining via secure hologram. "If they think we don't exist, we can operate more freely. Our ships won't be identified as belonging to any known species." The room grew quiet as everyone considered the implications. "We could become ghosts," Daniel said finally. "Invisible, players in galactic politics." Admiral Collins nodded slowly. "A species that officially doesn't exist has certain advantages." The meeting continued for hours as Earth's leadership debated their options. By the end, a plan was forming, one that might forever change humanity's place in the galaxy. 2 days later, Daniel found himself walking through the underground complex that served as Earth's secret government headquarters. Located 3 miles beneath the Pacific Ocean, the facility was undetectable to even the most advanced alien scanning technology. He passed through 5 security checkpoints before reaching the central chamber, where Earth's president waited along, with Admiral Collins and the heads of all major Earth nations. President Howard Clark was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had led Earth through the difficult early years of space exploration, when humanity first discovered they weren't alone in the universe. "Captain Wright," the president said, "Admiral Collins speaks highly of your work. She says you have a unique perspective on our current situation." Daniel nodded. "Thank you, sir. I spent 3 years undercover on the edges of Council space. I've seen firsthand how the various alien species interact. The Council isn't united. It's a political battlefield. The stronger species bully the weaker ones, Resource-rich planets are often seized from less advanced civilizations for the greater good. And you believe humanity would be one of these weaker species? Asked the Chinese premier. For now, yes, Daniel replied honestly. The most advanced council races have been in space for over 10,000 years. We've barely managed 100. But they don't know about us yet, and now they believe we don't even exist. President Clark leaned forward. Admiral Collins has proposed what she calls Operation Ghost. Rather than revealing ourselves, we would use this misunderstanding to our advantage. Earth would remain hidden, while our ships would operate throughout the galaxy as an unknown force. Daniel saw the mix of uncertainty and intrigue on the faces around the table. It would give us time to advance our technology, establish more colonies, and learn more about potential threats, he added. The president nodded, but it would also mean continuing to live in the shadows, perhaps for generations. There's something else to consider, Admiral Collins said. Our deep space monitoring has detected an aggressive species at the edges of Council space, the Vekaran Imperium. They're conquering worlds at an alarming rate, and the Council seems unwilling or unable to stop them. Daniel had heard of the Vekarans during his undercover work. They were reptilian warriors with a culture built around conquest. Rumors said they ate the hearts of their defeated enemies. If we reveal ourselves now, the Admiral continued, we might become their next target. But as ghosts, we could gather intelligence, perhaps even help those being attacked, all without exposing Earth. The room fell silent as everyone considered the implications. Finally, President Clark spoke. We'll put it to a vote. But first, Captain Wright, I want your honest assessment. You've seen these civilizations up close. What would you recommend? Daniel took a deep breath. He thought about everything he had seen during his time undercover, the wonders and the horrors of the wider galaxy. He thought about Earth, still vulnerable despite their advances. I believe we should become the ghosts of the galaxy, said firmly. Not out of fear, but because it gives us the best chance to protect Earth and to help others without risking everything we've built. As the vote began, Daniel knew whatever they decided would change the course of human history forever. Either way, the galaxy would never be the same. 6 months after the vote, Lieutenant Gregory Martinez guided his small stealth ship through the darkness of space. His vessel was unlike any other in the galaxy. It used technology that only humans had developed, making it invisible to standard scanners. The ship was part of what Earth now called the Phantom Fleet. Gregory checked his instruments. He was approaching the site of a recent attack. Ahead floated the remains of what had once been an Arxian mining station. The Arxians were a peaceful species known for their skill in extracting rare minerals. They looked like tall, thin humans with blue skin and 4 arms. According to Earth's intelligence network, the mining station had been attacked by the Vekaran Imperium 3 days ago. The Vekarans were a species of scaled humanoids with sharp teeth and claws. They were known throughout the galaxy as conquerors who took what they wanted by force. Ghost Fleet Command, this is Phantom 7, Gregory said quietly into his communication system. I've reached the attack site, beginning scan now. The voice that replied was clear despite being transmitted across vast distances through Earth's secret communication network. Copy that, Phantom 7. Proceed with caution. Gregory activated his ship's advanced sensors. The system could detect life signs from great distances, even through layers of metal and rock. He held his breath as the scan ran, hoping to find survivors. The scanner beeped. There were life signs, faint but present, coming from within a large piece of the destroyed station. Command, I've got survivors, he reported. At least 3 Arxians. They must have sealed themselves in an emergency shelter when the attack happened. Understood, came the reply. Remember mission parameters. No direct contact, no evidence of human involvement. Gregory acknowledged the order, but felt a twist in his stomach. These were the rules of Operation Ghost. Humans could help, but could never reveal themselves. They had to maintain the fiction that they didn't exist. He guided his ship closer to the debris. Using the ship's tractor beam, he carefully moved aside pieces of broken metal until he could see the emergency shelter. It was designed to keep people alive for up to a week, but its air supply would be running out soon. Gregory sent a coded message to the nearest Galactic Council outpost. The message appeared to come from an automated emergency beacon, not from a human ship. It gave the exact coordinates of the survivors. He sat back and waited. Within an hour, a council rescue ship appeared. Gregory watched from a safe distance as they located the shelter and brought the Arxians aboard. His mission was complete. Lives had been saved, and no one would ever know humans were responsible. As Gregory prepared to leave, his scanner detected something new. A Vecaran scout ship was approaching. He froze. The Vecarans must have returned to check their handiwork. The Vecaran ship was moving directly toward the Council rescue vessel. The rescuers, focused on helping the survivors, hadn't noticed the danger. Gregory had strict orders not to engage with alien ships. Revealing advanced human technology could expose their existence. But if he did nothing, the Council rescuers and the Arxian survivors would die. He made his decision quickly. Setting his ship's systems to emit a false energy signature, he flew toward a nearby asteroid field. As expected, the Vecaran ship detected the strange energy and changed course to investigate. Gregory led them on a chase through the asteroids, always staying just far enough ahead to avoid being seen clearly. After 10 minutes of pursuit, he activated his ship's most secret feature, the phase drive. The ship seemed to flicker, and then vanished completely as it shifted slightly out of normal space. To the Vecarans, it would appear as if their target had simply disappeared. Another unexplained mystery in a galaxy that was becoming full of them. Back on the hidden Earth colony of New Horizon, Commander Lisa Weber received Gregory's report with a mix of concern and approval. "You took a risk," she told him in the debriefing room. "I couldn't let them die," Gregory replied simply. Lisa nodded. "I understand. But now the Vecarans have another ghost story to tell." She brought up a holographic display showing reports from across the galaxy. They're already spreading tales about ships that appear and disappear, strange energy readings, and mysterious rescues. "Isn't that what we want?" asked Gregory. "For them to be confused?" "Yes and no," Lisa said. "Phase 2 of Operation Ghost begins tomorrow. We want alien species to have questions, but we need to control the narrative." She pointed to another part of the display. "The Vecarans are beginning to suspect something organized is working against them. They've increased patrols in sectors where we've been active." Officer Ryan Douglas entered the room with a data pad. "The latest intercepts from Council communications," he said, handing it to Lisa. "They're calling the unexplained events the spirits of justice in some sectors." Lisa scrolled through the information. "Interesting. The myths are starting to take shape on their own." She turned back to Gregory. "Your next mission is different. We're going to make direct contact with some of the Arxian refugees you helped save, but they won't be meeting humans." Gregory looked confused. "I don't understand." Lisa smiled. "You'll be wearing this." She pressed a button, and a holographic image appeared of what looked like a mechanical being. "We've created the identity of a robotic species that serves the spirits of justice. You'll be delivering supplies and information to the Arxians as one of these robots." "We're creating another myth," Gregory realized. "Exactly," said Lisa. "Humans don't exist, but our legends will be everywhere. The Council races will be chasing ghosts, robots, and spirits while we continue to build our strength." Ryan looked up from a monitor. "Commander, we're receiving a priority message from Earth. Admiral Collins wants a full update on the Vecaran situation." Lisa's expression grew serious. "The Vecarans are expanding their territory faster than expected. They've conquered 3 more systems in the past month. The Council is doing nothing to stop them." Gregory understood the unspoken concern. If the Vecarans continued their expansion, they might eventually discover Earth regardless of how well humans hid. "Prepare the contact packages for the Arxian refugees," Lisa ordered. "They've seen firsthand what the Vecarans do to those who can't defend themselves. They might become valuable allies in the future." As Gregory left to prepare for his next mission, he wondered how long humans could remain ghosts in a galaxy that was growing more dangerous by the day. The Phantom Fleet was making a difference, but was it enough? And what would happen when The day finally came for humans to step out of the shadows and reveal themselves to a galaxy that thought they never existed. Dr. Olivia Peterson moved through the crowded halls of Space Station Harmony with practiced ease. To any alien observer, she looked like just another Tralaxian trader in her environmental suit. The disguise was uncomfortable but necessary. The station was officially registered as an automated trading hub, but in reality, it was operated by humans hiding in plain sight. Space Station Harmony sat at the crossroads of three major trade routes. This made it the perfect place to gather information from across the galaxy. For the past year, Olivia had led a team monitoring communications and spreading carefully crafted rumors about the mysterious events occurring throughout Galactic Council space. She entered a secure room disguised as a maintenance closet and removed her Tralaxian mask. Dr. William Carter looked up from his data screens and smiled. "Right on time," he said. "I've got something you'll want to see." Olivia stretched her neck, glad to be free of the disguise. "Please tell me it's good news for once." William brought up a holographic display showing communication patterns from dozens of worlds. "The legends are spreading exactly as we planned," he said. "Look at this. The Tralaxians are now claiming humans are ancient guardians who only appear when the galaxy is threatened." Olivia leaned closer to examine the data. "And what about the Novalians?" William laughed. "Even better. They believe we're ascended energy, beings who choose to manifest in physical form." "Perfect," Olivia said. "The more conflicting stories there are about us, the harder it will be for anyone to discover the truth." Their moment of success was interrupted by a priority alert flashing on the main screen. William quickly pulled up the message. "It's from Vekaran Central Command," he said, his voice growing serious. "They've issued a substantial bounty for any information about humans." Olivia felt a chill run down her spine. "They're using the word human, not spirits or guardians?" William nodded. "They specifically mention humans. Look at the wording. The Vekaran Imperium offers 1 million credits for verifiable information, leading to the capture of the mythical species known as humans. They're onto us," Olivia said quietly. "Not exactly," William countered. "They still don't know what we are. They just know something is interfering with their plans. And now they're chasing ghosts." Olivia wasn't so sure. "We need to alert Earth Command immediately. Thousands of light years away, in a hidden chamber beneath Earth's Pacific Ocean, Admiral Collins received their message." She sat at the head of a long table surrounded by holographic displays, showing the status of human operations throughout the galaxy. "So the Vakerans are looking specifically for humans," she said to President Catherine Moore, who joined the meeting, via secure hologram. "This complicates things." "How could they know?" asked the president. "We've been extremely careful." Admiral Collins brought up another display showing the timeline of human interference with Vekaran operations. "We may have been too effective. The Phantom Fleet has rescued victims from 17 Vekaran attacks. Our covert teams have sabotaged their mining operations on 5 worlds. Someone is putting the pieces together." General Jeff Burton, head of military operations, spoke up. "The good news is they still think we're mythical. They're not looking for Earth yet," Admiral Collins added. "The question is, how do we respond? Do we pull back our operations to avoid detection, or do we lean into the mythology?" President Moore considered the options. "What do our intelligence reports say about Vekaran capabilities? If they did find Earth, what would happen?" The room grew quiet. Everyone knew the answer. "Their military technology is still ahead of ours," General Burton said finally. "Their fleet is 5 times the size of ours. In a direct confrontation, we would lose." "Then we continue with Operation Mythology," President Moore decided. "But we adapt. If they're looking for humans, let's give them even more conflicting information about what humans are." On Space Station Harmony, Olivia and William received their new orders. They were to accelerate the spread of human myths throughout the galaxy, but with an important change. Now they would introduce contradictory information about human appearance, abilities, and origins. "The Tralaxians will hear that humans have 6 limbs and can breathe any atmosphere," Olivia said, planning their approach. "The Arxians will learn that humans come from a water world and can communicate telepathically. William nodded as he programmed the automated communication systems. The Novalians already think we're energy beings, so we'll build on that. And for the Jaxari, we'll suggest humans are actually a collective consciousness with no fixed physical form. What about the Vicarans? Olivia asked. William smiled grimly. For them, we create the most frightening myth of all. We'll tell them humans can look exactly like Vicarans. They'll start suspecting each other. The plan worked better than they expected. Within weeks, Vicaran military operations began to slow as commanders grew paranoid about infiltration. Reports from human agents in Vicaran space described increased security checks and even fights breaking out as soldiers accused each other of being human spies. But the success came with a price. The Vicarans, frustrated by their inability to find the enemy, began to lash out. They attacked worlds they suspected of harboring humans. Innocent species suffered for simply being in the wrong place. Olivia watched the reports of these attacks with growing horror. This isn't what we wanted, she told William. They're destroying entire settlements looking for us. William nodded solemnly. I know. Earth Command is aware. They're working on a response. That response came 2 days later. Admiral Collins herself visited Space Station Harmony, disguised as a Jaxari merchant. In the secure room, she revealed the next phase of their plan. Vicarans are using us as an excuse for genocide, she said. We can't allow that to continue. Are we going to reveal ourselves? Olivia asked. Not exactly, Admiral Collins replied. We're going to give the galaxy something new to focus on. She activated a holographic display showing the designs for a new type of ship, larger and more visible than the stealth vessels of the Phantom Fleet. We're calling it the Guardian Program, she explained. These ships will openly protect vulnerable worlds from Vicaran attacks. They won't be identified as human, but as representatives of a new coalition of species dedicated to stopping Vicaran aggression. A coalition that doesn't actually exist, William said, understanding. Admiral Collins nodded. Exactly. We'll invite other species to join this fictional alliance. Many will out of fear of the Vicarans, and when they do, they become our real allies, Olivia finished. Brilliant. It's a gamble, Admiral Collins admitted. We're moving from the shadows into the light, even if we're still wearing disguises. But we can't stand by while innocent worlds burn. As the Admiral left to return to Earth, Olivia and William began preparations for their part in the new plan. The game was changing. Humans were no longer content to be ghosts in the galaxy. Now they would become guardians, still hidden, still technically mythical, but taking a more active role in shaping galactic events. The Vicarans had wanted to find humans. Soon they would get their wish, just not in the way they expected. Fleet Commander Jason Powell entered the emergency briefing room on Luna Base, Earth's military headquarters on the moon. Officers and analysts fell silent as he walked to the front of the room. His face was grim. The situation has changed. Jason began without preamble. The Vicaran Imperium has destroyed the Arxian colony on Nebulon 5. Gasps and murmurs filled the room. Nebulon 5 was home to over 3 million Arxians. It was also a world that had been under the protection of Earth's Guardian program. Our ships were in orbit when it happened, Jason continued. The Vicarans came with a fleet 3 times larger than anything we've encountered before. They ignored all warnings and opened fire immediately. Major Heather Davis, head of covert operations, stood up. Did our people make it out? Jason nodded. Yes. Captain Eric Johnson ordered a retreat when it became clear they were outmatched. They managed to evacuate about 10,000 Arxians before the planet was bombed. He activated a holographic display showing footage of the attack. The Vicaran ships were massive, bristling with weapons. They surrounded the much smaller Guardian vessels, forcing them to flee. The Vicarans made an announcement after the attack, Jason said. He played the recording. A Vicaran appeared on screen. His scales were dark red, indicating high rank in their society. Let this be a message to all who harbor the mythical humans, the Vicaran commander said. Any world suspected of human infestation will be cleansed. The Vicaran Imperium will not tolerate this threat to galactic order. Major. Davis studied the footage carefully. They're using us as an excuse for genocide. Exactly, Jason agreed. Our intelligence shows they've allocated 30% of their fleet specifically to hunting humans. That's over 200 warships. The room fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. Earth's entire fleet consisted of less than 50 ships capable of interstellar travel. They couldn't fight the Vikarans directly. Admiral Collins and President Moore are on their way, Jason said. They want all options on the table. 20 minutes later, Admiral Samantha Collins arrived with President Catherine Moore. The president rarely left Earth, but the situation demanded her presence. I've reviewed the reports, President Moore said as she took her seat. The Guardian program was supposed to protect innocent species without revealing our existence. Now it's having the opposite effect. Admiral Collins nodded. The Vikarans are using our interference as justification for their attacks. They claim to be eliminating a threat, when really they're just accelerating their conquest. So what do we do? Asked Major Davis. If we pull back, more innocent people die. If we continue, the Vikarans use it as an excuse to attack. I need options, President Moore said firmly. The room was quiet for a moment. Then a voice spoke from the back. What if we didn't have to choose? All eyes turned to Dr. Alan Shepard, Earth's leading expert on alien cultures. He was not usually included in military briefings, but had been brought in to provide insight on Vikaran behavior. Explain, Admiral Collins said. Dr. Shepard walked to the front of the room. We've been operating on two assumptions. First, that we must keep our existence secret. Second, that if the Vikarans discover Earth, they will attack us. He paused, making eye contact with the president. What if we challenge both assumptions? You want us to reveal ourselves? Jason asked incredulously. Not exactly, Dr. Shepard said. I want us to reveal enough to change the game, but not enough to expose Earth. He activated the display showing a map of known Vikaran territory. The Vikarans are conquerors, but they're also pragmatic. They don't fight wars they can't win. That's why they target weaker species. We are a weaker species, Major Davis pointed out. They don't know that, Dr. Shepard countered. Right now, humans are a mystery to them. Some believe we're energy beings, others think we're shapeshifters. They're afraid of us because they don't know what we are or what we can do. Admiral, Collins leaned forward, interested. You're suggesting we use their fear against them? Exactly, Dr. Shepard said. We stage a demonstration of human power that makes them believe we're far more advanced than we actually are. Not enough to start a war, but enough to make them hesitate. President Moore considered this. What kind of demonstration? Dr. Shepard smiled. One that plays into all the myths we've created. We show them that humans can appear anywhere at any time with technology beyond their understanding. For the next 2 hours, they developed the plan. It was daring, risky, but potentially brilliant. By the end, even the most skeptical officers were convinced it could work. We'll need volunteers, Admiral Collins said. People willing to put themselves in extreme danger. I'll lead the operation, Jason offered. No, Admiral Collins replied. We need someone with a different skill set for this. She turned to Dr. Shepard. You understand the Vikarans better than anyone. Will you do it? Dr. Shepard nodded solemnly. Yes, but I'll need a team of our best people. President Moore stood up, signaling the end of the meeting. Make it happen. We have to stop the Vikarans before they destroy more innocent worlds. As the officers filed out, Jason pulled Dr. Shepard aside. You're going to show the Vikarans that humans exist. Isn't that exactly what we've been trying to avoid? Dr. Shepard shook his head. Not quite. We're going to show them a version of humans that exists only in their nightmares, a version powerful enough to make them think twice before continuing their attacks. And if it doesn't work? Jason asked. Then we move to Plan B, Dr. Shepard said grimly. Full revelation. Earth comes out of hiding and calls on every species the Vikarans have ever threatened to join us in standing against them. 2 weeks later, Dr. Shepard stood on the bridge of the EDF Guardian, Earth's newest and most advanced ship. Around him worked a crew of 15, all specially selected for this mission. The ship was in stealth mode, hovering near the Vikaran, Home system. Are we ready? He asked his second-in-command, Lieutenant Sofia Garcia. She nodded. All systems are prepared. The package is ready for delivery. Dr. Shepard took a deep breath. What they were about to do would change the course of galactic history. It might save countless lives, or it might expose Earth to its greatest danger. Yet, begin the operation, he ordered. Across the galaxy, in Admiral Collins' office on Earth, a countdown timer began. In less than 24 hours, the Vicarans would learn that humans were very real indeed, but not in the way they expected. The greatest deception in human history was about to reach its climax. The massive Vicaran warship Conqueror hovered over the peaceful Arxian colony world of Lumeria. Its weapons were charged and ready to fire. Smaller Vicaran ships surrounded the planet, blocking all escape routes. On the surface, millions of Arxians looked up at the sky in terror. High Admiral Zextuk of the Vicaran Imperium stood on the bridge of his flagship. His dark red scales gleamed under the ship's lights. He was the most feared military commander in the Imperium, responsible for conquering 12 worlds in the past year alone. Open a channel to their leaders, he ordered. A large screen lit up, showing the frightened face of the Arxian Council leader. This is High Admiral Zextuk of the Vicaran Imperium, he announced. Your world is suspected of harboring the mythical species known as humans. Surrender them to us, or your planet will be cleansed of all life. The Arxian leader trembled visibly. Please, we have seen no humans. They do not exist. We are a peaceful people. We have no weapons, no means to fight. You. Zextuk smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. Then you will die peacefully. You have 1 hour to reconsider. He cut the communication and turned to his second-in-command. Prepare the main cannons. I want this planet made an example of. Yes, Admiral, the officer replied. The weapons will be ready in 50 minutes. Zextuk returned to his command chair. These attacks on worlds suspected of harboring humans had become routine. So far, they had found no actual evidence that humans existed. But the fear these attacks created served the Imperium well. Other species were too afraid to resist Vicaran expansion. Suddenly, every screen on the bridge flickered. The ship's lights dimmed for a moment, then returned to normal. What was that? Zextuk demanded. Before anyone could answer, all communication systems activated simultaneously. On every screen, on every ship in the Vicaran fleet, appeared the same image. A human woman in a simple uniform. I am Captain Elizabeth Foster of Earth, she stated calmly. The species you seek does exist, but not as you imagine. Zextuk stood up in shock. Trace this signal. Find its source. His officers worked frantically at their stations. It's coming from everywhere, Admiral. We can't block it. Elizabeth continued speaking. For years, the Vicaran Imperium has destroyed worlds in its search for humans. Today, that search ends. As she spoke, sensors across the Vicaran fleet began to detect new ships appearing in the space around them. They seemed to materialize out of nowhere, their hulls unlike any known design. Within minutes, the Vicaran fleet was surrounded by hundreds of vessels. Impossible, Zextuk whispered. His fleet of 30 ships was now outnumbered many times over. On the main screen, Elizabeth gestured, and the view changed to show thousands of similar ships appearing around key Vicaran military bases and colonies throughout the galaxy. The scale of the revelation was overwhelming. We are not myths or legends, Elizabeth continued. We are simply people who learned the hard way that power without compassion leads to destruction. Today we offer the galaxy a choice. Continue down the path of conquest or join us in building something better. Behind her appeared representatives of a dozen different human colonies and outposts, a unified human presence finally stepping onto the galactic stage. Who are you to make demands of the Vicaran Imperium? Zextuk snarled, though his voice lacked its usual confidence. Elizabeth looked directly at him. We are the ghosts you've been chasing, the spirits of justice you've been trying to destroy. We are humans, and we have hidden among you for generations, watching and learning. She paused. We know every weakness in your empire, High Admiral. We know about the rebellion brewing on your colony worlds. We know about the fractures in your leadership, and now we ask you, will you stand down your weapons and join the galactic community as equals, or will you continue on a path that can only lead to your destruction? For the first time in his long career, High Admiral Zextuk felt fear. The ships surrounding his fleet made no aggressive moves, but their very presence was a clear message. His sensors could not determine their weapons' capabilities, or even what materials they were made from. "I will consult with the Imperium leadership," he said finally. Elizabeth nodded. "You have 1 hour, Admiral. The same time you gave the Arxians. We will be waiting." As the communication ended, Zextuk turned to his second in command. "Order. All ships to stand down weapons. Do not fire unless fired upon." In the council chambers on Earth, President Moore watched the broadcast with her advisors. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. "Do you think they'll back down?" she asked Admiral Collins. "The Vicarans respect strength above all else," Admiral Collins replied. "The show of force we've just given them is unlike anything they've seen before." Of course, what the Vicarans didn't know was that most of the ships they were seeing were holograms, created by a handful of actual vessels using technology Dr. Shepard had developed. Earth couldn't really field a fleet of thousands, but the Vicarans had no way of knowing that. Dr. Shepard himself was aboard the ship transmitting Elizabeth's image. The real Captain Elizabeth Foster sat beside him, her face tense as she waited for the Vicaran response. "And so begins a new chapter," President Moore said quietly. "No longer hiding in the shadows, no longer just a galactic legend." Admiral Collins nodded. "The myth ends today. The truth begins, or at least a version of the truth." The Vicaran response came 45 minutes later. High Admiral Zextuk appeared on the screen, his posture notably less aggressive. "The Vicaran Imperium acknowledges the existence of humans," he said formally. "We propose a meeting between our leaders to discuss terms of mutual understanding." Captain Foster, following her script perfectly, replied, "We accept. Representatives from Earth will meet with your leaders at the neutral location of space, Station Harmony, in 7 days." As the communication ended, cheers erupted in the Earth Council chamber. It had worked. The gamble had paid off. President Moore raised her hand for silence. "This is just the beginning," she reminded them. "The Vicarans won't give up their conquering ways easily, and now every species in the galaxy knows about humans, even if they don't know our true capabilities." "But we've stopped the immediate threat," Admiral Collins pointed out, "and gained time to strengthen our actual defenses and build real alliances." President Moore nodded. "True, and perhaps most importantly, we've given hope to those who had none." On worlds across the galaxy, beings of all species watched in wonder as the news spread. Humans were real. They had revealed themselves not to conquer, but to protect. To many who had suffered under Vicaran aggression, it felt like the dawn of a new era. The legend of humans had become reality. But in many ways, the new reality was just as mysterious as the legend had been. Who were these beings who had hidden among them for so long? What other secrets did they keep? And what would their emergence mean for the future of the galaxy? Those questions would take time to answer. But one thing was certain: the galaxy would never be the same again.